Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Tuesday, 27th February 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Bank of Jamaica makes predictions on inflation in Jamaica. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. The Bank of Jamaica, at its quarterly briefing on Wednesday last, projects inflation to remain outside 4 to 6% target range until June 2025. Javon Keys of TVJ Business Day reports.
BOJ Governor Richard Biles says a number of temporary price shocks are expected to affect inflation. One factor, the second phase of public passenger vehicle PPV fare increases to take effect in April.
Without the impact of this second increase in PPV fares, inflation at December 2024 would fall within the target range.
Annual inflation as of January 2024 was 7.4%. He says while there was some positive impact, the reduction in Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC fares appears as though it will not play a major role in tempering price increases.
Upon review, the bank now recognizes that it had overestimated the impact of the reduction in JUTC fares. The two-phase reduction is now estimated to have an offsetting impact of only 0.2% on annual inflation, with the first reduction already evident in the CPI data for January 2024.
And going forward, headwinds are expected to persist.
Higher than projected second-round effects from the PPV fare increase, higher wage adjustments in the context of a tight labor market, and a further deterioration in supply chain conditions could influence higher inflation. In particular, while shipping prices and oil prices have remained below their peak, they have recently risen amid ongoing geopolitical tensions and supply chain disruptions.
As for lower inflation,
could be caused by weaker than projected global growth, which could reduce domestic demand and imported inflation, resulting in lower rates of price change in Jamaica.
A skeptical opposition leader, Alan Chastity, challenged Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Philip J. Pear, to set an example for unity as that island celebrates 45th independence anniversary. Gina Felipe of HTS News Force reports.
At the pre-cabinet media briefing, Prime Minister Philip J. Pear urged citizens to forego selfishness, prioritize statehood, and unite during independence anniversary celebrations. He emphasized that independence should be a time to celebrate national achievements, not political agendas. Opposition leader Alan Chastity countered that unity starts at the top of the hierarchy.
If the Prime Minister doesn't feel that there's any level of unity, he only has himself to blame because he has set the example.
Opposition commentators have drawn a correlation between the rising crime rates and lack of unity. Chastity contends that the Philip J. Pear administration has not fostered an environment conducive to unity.
Every opportunity they have to play political rhetoric, they do. This is a government that's putting politics first, not putting anybody else first. And certainly their behavior when they were even in opposition speaks to the lack of unity. So on several occasions, the opposition has put out its hand and indicated that things like crime, healthcare, the inflation, were all things that we felt that we could play a role in helping. And on all occasions, the Prime Minister has indicated that he's thrown our recommendations into the trash bin.
The opposition leader urges the country to strive for unity consistently, not only during independence celebrations. Furthermore, he argues that achieving harmony requires collective effort, not solely the responsibility of one individual.
We've made the proposals. We've written documents. It wasn't to say that we just verbalized them. We actually wrote documents out and sent it to him. And he said he threw those documents in the trash bin. So, I mean, he's the one setting the example. He's the one setting the tone. He's the one that's in charge. And so any day that he wants unity, he can have unity. But it means it's going to be shared responsibility to do that.
The theme for St. Lucia's 2024 Independence Celebration is Diverse Sum, building a nation through creativity, resilience and unity. This year marks the third and final iteration of the theme by the Independence Committee. Gina Filippi, HTS News Force.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The Bahamas' Financial Secretary mid-year report tells its own story. Here is Altovise Munnings of ZNS News with more.
Financial Secretary Simon Wilson today revealing that first-half revenue performed exceptionally well at 39.3% of the target. On the other end, recurrent expenditure grew by $8 million and capital expenditure by $17 million, while the deficit shrank by $19 million. But what stood out in Minister of Finance, Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis's mid-year budget statement on Wednesday was his administration's intention to implement a tax avoidance scheme to win back some of the millions they've already lost.
What we realized was that legitimate importers of alcohol and tobacco saw a consistent decline in their sales. So we recoup it by discouraging persons from smuggling, and then people who purchase from legitimate importers and distributors who pay their taxes. 2 months ago, we came upon a warehouse where we retrieved over $1 million in cash and goods. You know, that the secondary impact of that is tremendous, because it means that those products have to be purchased from legitimate means. So yes, they will have an impact.
The FS, Thursday's guest at the Office of the Prime Minister's press briefing, also sought to shed light on government's travel budget that increased from just under $500,000 to over $2 million.
The comparison has unfortunately been to the COVID period, where there was little or no travel. The reality is the travel is not extraordinary. Right? These are international meetings that we are required to attend to protect the interests of the country. In the case of the Ministry of Finance, the Minister of Finance or a political representative is required at least 10 meetings a year. Required. It's not optional. So if you can imagine a Ministry of Finance, we have small Ministry of Finance, but you're required to be at your IMF meetings, you're required to be at your IDB meetings, you're required to be at your CDB meetings. This is outside of the meetings required by the technical officials.
The government is relying on revenue generated from business licenses and property taxes by the end of April to significantly reduce the country's multi-million-dollar deficit. At the halfway mark, the deficit exceeded the budget forecast by $127.6 million. Reporting live in studio for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Altovise Munnings.
A 31-member delegation from the Saudi Fund for Development met with several officials of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Nevis Island administration as they explored firsthand the development of the geothermal energy resource on Nevis. Glenn Bart of SK News 9 reports.
A 31-member delegation from the Saudi Fund for Development met with several officials of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Nevis Island administration as they explored firsthand the development of the geothermal energy resource on Nevis. The visit follows previous meetings, one held during the time of the 2023 CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit, when a memorandum of understanding was signed for the development of geothermal on Nevis. and following meetings with the Saudi Fund for Development held during the COP28 conference in Dubai, also in 2023. According to the Minister of Energy, Congress Maynard, the officials arrived in the Federation to do an on-ground analysis of the geothermal project. The Federal Minister of Energy and the Nevis Premier Mark Brantley offered comments on the visit of the Saudi Fund officials.
And so we're happy that the team is here. They've met with the Prime Minister. They've met with the ministries here in St. Kitts. We are heading over to Nevis today to meet with, obviously, the Premier and the relevant stakeholders in Nevis and to visit the geothermal sites or some of the geothermal sites that have already been identified. The Saudi Fund for Development is very excited about partnering with us on this project, and we hope to have a successful partnership in the very, very near future.
This is a new era of cooperation in relation to renewable energy. The island of Nevis has known for a long time that we had large deposits of geothermal energy, and we have had difficulty in harnessing that resource for the benefit not only of Nevis but for the wider Federation and even for the sub-region. We are delighted that we have, through the partnership with Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the opportunity to explore this very valuable resource. And I want to say to our visiting delegation that this has the potential to transform lives here. It is truly a transformational type of undertaking. Perhaps none other has been or can be as transformational as this, because it means that if we can get it right, St. Kitts and Nevis can become the greenest place on planet Earth. It can become a space where all of our electricity needs are generated through geothermal.
Prime Minister Dr. Terence Chu said the collaboration with the Saudi Fund will help push the sustainable island state agenda for the benefit of the Federation's future growth and development. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
An interesting twist to the continuing investigation into the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse. More in this Associated Press report.
A judge in Haiti who is responsible for investigating the July 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse has dropped a bombshell of a report this week. He has indicted some 50 people in the case. Among them, Moïse's widow, Martine Moïse, former Prime Minister Claude Joseph, and ex-police chief Léon Charles. An attorney for Martine Moïse has not returned messages for comment, and Léon Charles has not been able to be reached for comment. Meanwhile, Claude Joseph has accused the current Prime Minister of Haiti of quote-unquote weaponizing the country's judicial system. Those indicted have the opportunity to appeal, and it's unclear when or if the case would ever go to trial in Haiti. Meanwhile, authorities in the U.S. have prosecuted 11 suspects. At least 3 of them have been sentenced.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.